Hey guys, we are back. So, for the better course of probably over a decade now, the Drake stimulus package has benefited a bunch of rappers. He's pretty smart at pinpointing who's going to be the top guy. Damn, this dude, whoever did the animation, made his beard so luxurious. But yeah, I digress. Yeah, so his features have long been known to like, all right, if you get him on there, it's a runaway hit. From the Migos to the Dirks to the Little Babies, Party, the list goes on and on. The newest one being the 4-Bass record. But yeah, Lua Insa basically put out a little video essay on the Drake feature curse, because not all these people turn out to have so great careers afterwards. But you could pinpoint some people out like a Makonnen, who's actually kind of bitter about it. And there is kind of a long list of those people as well. But shout out to Luaista, I want to say is his name, for putting out the video. Let's just jump right into it.
For years, people have talked about Drake giving new artists a major boost with a feature, either on one of their songs or guesting on his projects. Because he's seen as putting so many rappers on over the years, it's no surprise that a lot of them feel indebted to him.
I message Drake like, you're a cool dude, you know what I'm saying? He like,
right. Remember, at the end of the day, they're both helping each other out, because he's targeting these acts for a reason. They're new up and comers, they're hot, basically keeping him relevant. And a lot of times, even if it's a new sound, he does pretty good at like adapting himself to these sounds, whether it be from his own region, which most of the time it's not.
He real observant.
So this has been in a long time.
Like 2018, we're gonna make it happen, but we made it happen for real.
But while we all know the success stories of people like Lil Baby and 21 Savage, what happens when the Drake cosign backfires and becomes the highlight of your career? And does that feature from Drizzy come with strings attached? That means you can never escape his shadow? From Kendrick Lamar accusing Drake of, quote, running to Atlanta when he needs a few dollars, and specifically mentioning how he uses his features with rappers like Future, 21 Savage, Lil Baby, and 2 Chainz as a way to be more accepted by the culture, it highlights a deeper point that I want to dive more into.
He's hip-hop's biggest chameleon.
Later in the video, because these days we have rappers like Rod Wave, a top-selling rapper with a die-hard fan base and the ability to sell out huge venues worldwide, even going as far as to turn down a feature from Drake. So it's clear that something fishy is going on. But before we get into how things went so wrong, I first need to explain how Drizzy got this reputation as a cheat code for success. By the year 2020, Drake assisted 32 artists to their highest Hot 100 position at the time. This included major stats like Kendrick Lamar, Future, Lil Baby, and many more. On average, the artists climbed up 19 spots from their previous highest position. Plus, 18 of these artists had never even made it onto the charts in the first place before they got that Drake stimmy. His peak moment of helping other artists.
Of course, there's no doubt that it wasn't successful many a times in getting the record heard like that.
Artists came in 2017 when he brought 7 fellow rappers onto the billboards, or at least gave them a boost. By 2021, he'd appear on 41 projects as a guest since 2015, and 30 times out of those 41, his track had the highest streams on Spotify and YouTube for the entire project. And of course, Drake didn't just let those numbers speak for themselves. He's constantly boasted about these accomplishments on songs like Mob Ties.
Lead the league in scoring, man, but look at my assist.
And now that Drake is facing opposition from artists like Future, Rick Ross, The Weeknd, and Kendrick Lamar,
people that he probably seems like he's probably hurt somewhere, you know? Like, because he probably in the back of his mind really believes, yeah, I did all this for these people and they've all turned their backs on me. But like I've said before in many videos, all this is accumulated for many years.
During the Rap Civil War that's taken a hold of the game, his track Push-Ups also hinted towards those who benefited from the stimulus package, with shots like every song that made it onto the charts he got from Drizzy, and your first #1, I had to put it in your hand. Because of the reputation as a hitmaker who can uplift an artist's career, it's meant that getting the guest spot from Drake outshines cosigns from legends in the industry.
A Jay-Z feature is still considered one of the most important features you can get to this day.
Yeah,
this was especially true for someone like Lil Durk, who was famously featured on Drake's absolute smash hit, Laugh Now, Cry Later.
In the studio, right? This motherfucker Drake come through the DM like, see your number. Man, you told me this before. I supposed to be on that compilation he did. Like, he dropped like 4 songs. We didn't get on it. So when he said DM me his number, I'm like, he sent the song through. I called everybody. Are you rich? It's over with. Like shit, he got that touch for real. You hear me?
No, it has been the Midas touch for a very long time.
I turned to a fan that motherfucking day.
Well, honestly, there's a reason why all these labels would Drake could literally pause you, put your whole album on hold by calling a label he really had no ties with, just because these people wanted to maintain their relationship with him, because his feature would help a plethora of artists probably on their label currently or in the future as well.
Call everybody, mama.
Bring
It's
that
over
down
with.
for resentment.
Do this motherfucker. We finna fuck him up on. And we finna go. And then when we came out, and the song was during the pandemic.
Yeah,
we went straight to 100.
Dark, man.
and then it just kept
Shout out to Drizzy, man.
tough.
Shout out Drake though. He definitely helped the motherfucker out 1,000.
Praised by so many who got that first taste of the Billboard through him, it's one of the few things that, until recently at least, most of his fellow MCs were happy to salute Drizzy for.
I'm the only person that put on for me when I ain't have nobody was Drake. I'm talking about Drake was the first person
He went
to
back
put on like before anybody.
on
He
that
didn't
Metro
want to
feature
sign
album.
me.
Yeah.
He didn't want to. It was like, yo, that's raw talent, yo. Like you gotta shine, yo. I'm a see to it. I forever owe Drake.
Well, that's a little awkward now, considering the recent events that's taken
Obviously stemming from Riri, and they've been throwing shots at each other for a minute now over Riri as well.
the game by storm. But as much as Drake fans like to talk about how he can basically give rappers exposure or even revive their careers, this is only one side of the story. Because for every success for people like Flocko, Savage, or The Weeknd, there are people like BlocBoy JB, Sosa Geek, OVO Signese Division in the UK gigs, who haven't returned to the
Damn,
Billboard
for
charts
real.
ever since. As for others who kept their place in the game, the problem is that they just failed to replicate the early rush of publicity that came from the Drizzy feature.
Now, Party, if you guys haven't checked out Party's last record, no skips, beginning to end. That record was super dope. Definitely go check it out. I did a reaction to it, but if you're a fan of R&B, check it out. The sequencing is amazing. The production, his pen. The guy has written some of the biggest songs for some of these biggest artists. But don't sleep on him.
That's why when the new artist 4bats got a collab with Drake, which debuted with 3 million streams
Another
in its
solid
opening
project.
24 hours on Spotify, not everyone saw it as a good thing for his future. So who are the artists whose careers capsized after getting the call from Drake? And how much is he to blame? When you think of an artist who fell off after getting the Drake feature, they don't come much bigger than BlocBoy JB, a Memphis MC who initially
Yeah, that
garnered
record was
attention with
fire,
tracks
though.
like Shoot, Rover featuring 21 Savage, and the dance that Fortnite would later steal. BlocBoy JB found himself getting the famed DM from Drizzy, where he claimed he was his favorite rapper. They would eventually collab on a hit song titled Look Alive, and it went crazy when it debuted, as it basically took over the game and
People would just, a lot of times, Drake kind of steals the thunder. You go to one of these places where they're playing the record and they're basically just playing his verse, and they might cut back to his verse again and then switch the record to something else. That's the one thing that happens when you get to like a Drizzy feature anyway, which is smart to put him at the end. But even then, these DJs will go play the intro, cut to his verse, and then peace, bone out.
quickly landed
was a fire
BlocBoy in the
record, though.
XXL freshman list for 2018, as well as a record deal with Interscope. Peaking at number 5 on the Billboard charts, the track's official video now has over 390 million views on YouTube alone. But for all the momentum he had, it's all just evaporated once Drizzy did what he always does and moved on to the next hot thing. When his debut album Fat Boy dropped in 2020, it failed to chart, and the same unfortunately goes for 2022's Back
Got
to the
Albert
Block.
vibes.
Although he still has his loyal core fans, resulting in 2.4 million listeners on Spotify, he struggled to come to terms with the negative impact that Look Alive had on his career, even when people pointed out to him.
Do you feel like you, in some ways, you kind of blew up so fast that it gave people weird expectations of what was supposed to be coming from you?
To be honest, I feel like I didn't even blow up that fast. It's just like motherfuckers weren't even on me. So when I had this song, it blew up. I didn't blow up, the song blew up.
Yeah. Especially a lot of times with these TikTok songs too. It's like the public has no time to get to know you and be invested in you and really want to ride for you, no Diddy, you know, because like fam, all they know is the song. They're a fan of the song, not a fan of the artist. Yet anyway. It's what happens these days.
Mm-hmm.
So like people didn't even just know that I had like fucking 4 mixtapes out before this shit. So I always had a grind anyways. So I feel like people just don't understand that.
Even though things aren't in his favor, BlocBoy is confident that good things are coming his way. He still believes he'll rise to the top again and will eventually step out of Drake's shadow.
Yeah, they're tuned out, and guess what? They're gonna come back again.
His sound can still be relevant. Over the production and stuff, it hasn't really changed too much. He's one banger away, honestly.
I see, like, it's just time. It just take time, and like the longer you keep rapping, and the more you keep going, it's the bigger your fan base get. Like, I know when I first dropped them with my real fans, like I already knew that because every time I look at my comments, we just see something about.
Designer had the same type of problem when he came out with Panda though, and then when Ye put it on his record, it got even bigger. And it's like they're a fan of this record, but they don't really know you. So that gets tough. It's like, yeah, you have all the success, but if people don't know you, they're gonna move right on.
Drake or some shit, but now like the comments change.
What's interesting is that these days, BlocBoy is trying to ride the same wave by reaching out to Drake for another collaboration. This time, he didn't just slide into Drake's DMs, but he made it public on his Instagram story saying, "I think it's time for another one at Champagne Poppy." This time around, even Drake's fans recognized that there wasn't much for the Six God to gain from teaming up with BlocBoy ever again. Some even have gone far as to comment things like, "Drake probably avoiding watching that story right now," and BlocBoy fell off. No waves to ride there for the boy. Rather than being the megastar that Look Alive set him up to be, BlocBoy is now left in obscurity, and his fallout is even being mocked by fellow rappers like Bandman.
I mean, my mentors once told me, like, if you're not useful, you're useless, and that goes the same for these people. You know, if he was able to get to the point where he was buzzing again, like how he was before, best believe he get features from all these people.
Evo.
Yeah, he fell off. I don't care. He shouldn't have said nothing about me. He fell off. He do not got no money like me. He shouldn't have came at me. He fell off. All that dancing and doing this with the leg shit is over with.
Dang.
It's over with, bro. You don't got it.
Once riding a wave that Drake hopped on, only to jump off before it faded, BlocBoy isn't alone in briefly benefiting from Drake's knack for recognizing what's hot in the culture. Sometimes this phenomenon even extends to rappers from Drake's own city, which was the case for a rapper by the name of Smiley. An underground MC from Toronto, Smiley started his career rhyming with the Garden Gang clique. After a 2015 stint in jail derailed his momentum, Smiley got his initial exposure through tracks like 9 on Me, and soon, Drake could be seen rapping his track from the pool.
She might dance, 9 shots in my pants. Oh, Len, that's a label. She want chillin' with no cable. Now I'm popping and annoying. Wow, I don't join in. Right.
Officially on Drake's radar since 2017, he soon signed to Drake's OVO label, and to him, it seemed like the perfect scenario. At that point, Drake really started pushing him heavily on social media.
I seen a picture with you and Ross, and Drake captions the shit that you're his favorite rapper.
Oh yeah.
Right? What that felt like when you seen that?
It was love. So I already, like, he's already said things like that too already. So I was like, I was just surprised he.
Damn, man. He's like wide eyes, new to the game, and these people will sell you a dream, fam. And OVO don't really have that crazy of a track record.
Posted that like that, you know.
As far as like keeping their artists happy and really, really like putting them out there, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
With that kind of cosign, he started to believe that he was the one.
Sure, it's like I've finally gotten to
the feature, but
embrace everything. Like, you know, I understand it, but like I've been like that. I've been asking myself, like, why me?
His accent, his Canadian, his Toronto accent, crazy.
Why me? But I'm gonna keep asking myself that for how long now? Like, you know,
it's me.
You know,
Yeah,
but real
yeah.
shit. Why me?
We're
But it's
here.
just, it's love. Like that's what's crazy. Cause now I even see what he sees. Real shit. Like, you
It's
know,
fire,
it's crazy. It's like, I do believe, like.
But unfortunately for Smiley, no one else saw it. And when he finally got the Drake cosign on 2021's Over the Top, his flow got clowned by the masses, and everyone pretty much thought he fumbled his opportunity.
Got verse from the boy named Leety. Send me a new and say use instead. Everything good when you live in that. What am I listening to?
I'm finna get mad, bro, cause this shit, bro. It getting me hot, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro.
The comments were just as ruthless. One of the hardest verses from Drake in a long time, and Smiley does this. Smiley sounds like he has tickle battles with his homeboys. Despite the fact that the track got number 57 on the chart, his 2021 album, Buy or Buy 2, sold abysmally, clocking in at just 1.
Yo, golly. 1,500 first week is crazy. You're going double wood.
5K units in its first week. Since then, he's barely been a factor, but has denied falling off, without any real evidence to back it up, aside from the fact that he was chilling on a boat. But falling by the wayside in Drake's priorities after a hit isn't exactly anything new. I mean, just look at what happened to iLoveMakonnen, another artist who acquired Drake's attention.
Shout out to him, because he had a record go off a little bit. As of late, pretty recently.
Mentioned from a self-released project. Makonnen's debut.
But he wasn't smart. He should have known it's all politics and like people that was reaching out. Bro, even if you know that they kind of a sucker because they kept you on red or whatever, bro, just bro, keep it pushing, keep it political. You use them how they're using you. That's the game, fam.
Debut EP popped off, courtesy of tracks like Tuesday and I Don't Sell Molly No More. After putting in a call to producer Sonny Digital, Drizzy got his hands on the track and suddenly, Makonnen's life changed.
Now when Drake got on it, what did you say?
Oh man, I just fainted in the house. You saw that little video and I was like, what the hell happened?
Like the pure joy and excitement, none of them really see it coming that they'd probably be discarded sooner than later.
Yeah, I was just tripping with my friends, you know what I'm saying, smoking weed, hanging out. Somebody tweeted me a link like, oh, that new Drake and iLoveMakonnen is fire. And I just favored it like, oh yeah, that would be dope. He must mean like if me and Drake made a track, that would be hot. And I was like, yeah, that would be hot. The official OVO page tweeted me and was like, Drake, iLoveMakonnen featuring Drake, Tuesday remix. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, no way. I met Drake after the show, after watching the show and shit. And then he came up to me singing some more lyrics from like I Don't Sell Molly and all that. And I was just like, what? How do you know my music?
That's pretty dope.
Soon after that, Makonnen signed to...
He's smart. He does his research. And that's how he ingratiates his people so well. Because he does come off as like, hey, I'm a fan of your work. And he may be, but like I said, as soon as you're not useful, you're useless and they will discard you.
And thought he won the music industry lottery. But just a year after he got signed, the Californian was lifting the lid on the experience and even claimed that Drake threatened to put hands on him at one point. In a lengthy interview with The Fader, Makonnen expressed how he felt like Drake and his crew were, quote, scared when they saw how easily he could cook up some bangers, before expressing how he felt betrayed by Drake's camp for the way he was treated when he entered their orbit. Why y'all want to play games? Why didn't y'all just tell me you didn't want to fuck with me anymore and just let me go about my own way? Why did y'all make me chase you all the way the fuck around?
Bro, this textbook shelving. That's exactly what that is.
And make me look like a fucking fool. Why would you do this? I was threatened by others. Someone I so-called look up to, saying, we gon' fuck you up the next time we see you. Believing that OVO only signed him because they needed a hot song, Makonnen has stayed on his independent grind. But nothing's ever hit the same since he had this misadventure with OVO. But while there might have always been a ceiling on Makonnen's success anyways, one person who many think has been held back by his association with Drake is partynextdoor. An R&B pioneer in the eyes of the fans, the fellow Canadian has been
B&D, your GOAT.
Clicked up with Drake since 2014. And while The Weeknd refused to sign to OVO, partynextdoor was happy to sign his name on the dotted line. I could go to a label where they don't know how to handle me and they don't care, he said of his decision. Or I'll have a mentor who's been through it, who knows exactly what I want to mean to my city and what I want to achieve. They know how to handle your emotions. I'll have freedom and guidance.
Another wide-eyed, like, they sold you the dream, man. It sucks. He's a beast, though. With that being said, he's dropped a few classic albums. He's like penned like some of the biggest hits for some of the biggest artists. Like he wrote work. He's written. Go check his like Wikipedia and look at his discography. It's pretty elite. But yeah, I see he's not as his talent with that level of talent. He's really. I don't think he is where he should be. At least like in the eyes of like the mainstream public.
Even though he claimed to have all this freedom, he later revealed in an interview that he had to give Drake the track Wednesday Night Interlude for one of his projects, even though he wanted it for himself. But there's no denying that Drake made a really big impact for him. In 2016, Come and See Me got him onto the charts. And in 2019, Loyal became his biggest commercial success so far. But there's times where PND's frustration with his role at OVO has boiled over, particularly when it comes to writing for other artists.
I'm 23, but I feel 43, you know what I mean? That's something to write for these other people.
PND has faced criticism for either sharing his hits with Drake or finding his biggest successes alongside him. He once tweeted then deleted his plans to leave the label after one more album in November of 2020 when he wrote, "One more album, then I'll tell y'all what it's like." But now that so much time has passed, it's hard to imagine that even as talented as he is, that he could ever reach the full potential he had before wasting valuable time on the shelf at OVO. As for others, the Drake cosign seemed to come at the perfect time, only to be unable to capitalize. This was definitely the case for Young Blue, an Alabama artist who initially made waves back in 2017 with Miss It. Blue has always had clear star power, but when his buzz started to take a little dip, having Drizzy hop on 2020's Your Mind Still changed everything for him. Before that, he was battling to get a fair deal from record labels and almost signed his life away on what would have been a terrible contract. But the minute that he was seen next to Drizzy, he suddenly had leverage.
The deal they was offering me, it was like a lot of projects involved in that, like, and I was just like,
oh yeah, man. These first deals, unless you got some leverage, they're gonna try to sign you to like 6, 7 albums, and it's gonna be tough because at the end of the day, they have to clear. They have to basically accept the album. If they don't think it's up to snuff, they just won't release it and won't count it. It won't count towards your deal. You can probably release it as a mixtape, but that's not gonna affect your contract.
Man, I ain't
or get you any closer to getting out of your contract.
I no other choice, like, man. I'm just gonna take the opportunity, huh?
Like three projects or so?
Like 4. And they wanted my old masters. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, hell to the fucking no.
And it was a number like 250 type shit. You
2.5 million?
No, like 250,000. Like advance. Okay, just put it in perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like before the Drake record dropped, well, soon as the Drake record dropped, I was having bidding wars between $8 and $9 million.
Yeesh. Really?
Yeah.
The lead single from his album Moon Boy, the record peaked at number 12, and soon after, he was blowing up like crazy. But to this day, Your Mind Still has doubled the plays of his next most popular song. And while albums like 2023's Love Scars 2 did alright, he still hasn't been able to get a hit that comes anywhere close to the impact of the collab with the Six God. Through these artists, we get a glimpse into the potential negative effects of getting the Drake stimulus package. But why does this happen to so many of them? And who exactly is to blame? Drake's critics often suggest that there are hidden reasons behind his collaborations. Since his rise to fame, he's faced accusations of capitalizing on others' sounds or leveraging their hype for his own gain. Back in 2015, when he first started co-signing Kodak Black, Earl Sweatshirt called him a vulture on Twitter, where he wrote, "I still feel like Drake's overall statement isn't 'check this new shit I heard.' It's always self-serving." And a lot of people agree. Drake obviously embraces the curator/trendsetter persona, and he's decent in
dude, that's how he's been perpetually like at the top, you know? As soon as the star seems like it's fading a little bit, you jump on one of the new guys. He did it with Yeet recently. He does this a lot. It's crazy. Actually, it's not. It's pretty much par for course when it comes to like him.
Enough at it, but it doesn't ever seem like he manages long-term working relationships with these artists he quote-unquote discovers. Whether it's Dej Loaf, Fetty, or Makonnen, it feels like nothing can happen in hip-hop without him. He's a vampire. But according to Drake, it's nothing as sinister as that. Whether it's UK rap or Afrobeat he's tapping into, it's just because he's a music lover.
I like to enjoy what's going on, man. I appreciate like all these young people creating all these things. You know, it takes some real energy and synergy to like create a good song.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that people think that like me being like into music from these kids that are trying to like make it and trying to build a name for themselves is like, oh, that's some culture vulture. Like, what does that even mean? I don't understand what that means.
Yeah.
Would you rather me like not
exactly
like, acknowledge anything or support? Like, that's some hater shit, but it is what it is. I see it a lot, and I guess people have their own outlook on it.
Yeah, well,
but it's
like I see it. I do believe he is a fan of all these different like waves and artists and stuff like that. But two things can be true. You can really believe that, but you can also see the value of being featured alongside them. So yeah. So even though I do think he is a fan, he's a fan of hip hop and rap and Afrobeat and all these other like movements going around. He is the UK stuff. But as soon as it's not beneficial, you don't really see him jump on it after the fact. I think that's where like the issue is coming.
It's fair to say that not everyone thinks it's as straightforward as that. In the eyes of the TDE rapper Daylight, he'll just use them up and throw them away.
We live in an era where people need to suck other people's juice. So they're going to make friends with him, especially you know who. He's going to make friends with him. He's going to try to do a song with him and feed off of him like he does every up-and-coming rapper. What's going to happen is they're going to get on your records. They're going to take your style. and they're gonna blow up, and then when you dry out, they're gonna keep going.
And when you look at the careers of people like BlocBoy JB and Makonnen, he might have a point. Then you have the problems he faces with the artists on his label. Similar to P&D's experience, there's a feeling that many of the artists are fueling the Drake machine. OVO's Majid Jordan once described a studio setup that was way more similar to a boot camp than it was to a recording session, where artists are secluded, working tirelessly on projects without outside contact. The result? Well, it gave us hits like
the OVO Sweatshop.
like Just Hold On, We're Going Home, which, as many of you know, is one of Drake's most popular tracks. But it's stories like this that alter some fans' perceptions to the point that they believe Drake operates a musical sweatshop disguised as a label. So when his newest signee, 4Bats, joined, they were trying to warn him about what to expect. Welcome to the sweatshop, 4Bats. Your stay is indefinite. To noted Drake stan academics, there are definitely problems that arise from the Drake stimulus package.
Drake has successfully cleared himself of a number 2. This was artistry and wizardry at its finest. Hear me out. Drake rocked all these newcomers to sleep that could be possibly an incumbent. Okay, little baby. All right, bet. You know, see, Drake never hates on the new guy. He just shows him overly love and almost gets credit for the new guy come up. Then after a while, he steps away from the nigga and shit never looks the same.
But when it comes down to it, Drake is ultimately free to give a feature to whoever he wants. And if they're not on his label, he doesn't owe them anything else. In fact, while it might give these rappers a buzz in wake of the track dropping, it's not his job to give them a whole career. For years...
That's true. It really isn't his job. But then by this point, we kind of all know the game plan, you know? Not to take anything away from him, he's one of the GOATs, especially like of this generation. But when people compare him, they don't compare him to like rappers anymore. They compare him to like Michael Jackson and the Beatles now, which is a whole nother echelon of music, just by the fact that he makes like these huge hits, you know? He's been using a lot of these people for like their like energy for a while now. I don't think it really comes as a surprise. He's been called Culture Vulture before. He does the records well. I do believe he is a fan of these people. It's as soon as they're useless, he kind of like discards them and then throws them by the wayside. When people don't realize that, that's like a lot of these like people in the industry, dude. If you're not hot, they're not really gonna put the time into you. They're not gonna put the cash into you. But as soon as you go and you catch yourself a hit, like Makonnen, he went and caught himself a little buzz off that record, and then his phone started ringing again. People, and once they start seeing value in you, that's when they start pretending like, hey man, long time no see. Like, oh, I miss you, fam. Let's work. Or what you been up to? When bro, they weren't around. But like, yeah, I feel like that's not even exclusive just to Drake. That's a lot of these acts now, you know. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Definitely hit the like button and the subscribe button. It does wonders for the channel. Thank you guys so much. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And yeah, hope to see you guys soon. Crazy. Yeah. Yo, this motherfucking waves is luxurious.